Okay, so today's topic is how to practice Dharma. Order of the question. So, which means we try to learn how to practice Dharma without sitting in the question or without reading practice book or without reading any prayer books and without reading a commentary or any other activities like prostration or gora or mantra or anything. Without all those things, can we practice Dharma or we can't? So that is our topic today. So the answer is, of course, you can practice Dharma without all of them. That's his answer. Yes, this is the answer, but still we have to think a little bit more carefully and more thoroughly. How is it possible and not possible? So that means if anybody can practice Dharma without practice book, without prayers, without mantra, without commentary, reading commentary or anything, if anybody can or some people can, that we need to think about. So the answer is we can means it's not saying anybody can do it anytime without all of this. It's not saying that. What is saying is, if you know the Dharma, if you know what it is Dharma, then you know how to practice without them. But even you don't know what is Dharma at all, then you cannot practice without them at all. So that's we have to know. And then we have to understand what is prayer for? What is the practice book for? What is so different kind of instructions and prayers and and activities? All of them, what for? Are they for practice Dharma or not? Are they itself the Dharma or that we need to think about? So the answer is, they are not necessarily always itself Dharma. Instead, they are guard to the Dharma. They are guard to the Dharma. They are tools you, a practitioner, help us to guide to Dharma practice, basically. In that case, you think maybe, oh, if that case, how can I practice without them? So the answer is, it depends how much you know Dharma very well. So if you don't know how to practice Dharma without them, without reading prayers, without sitting in the question, meditation, instruction, you know, if you cannot, that means you need to study more. You need to understand Dharma, what is Dharma really is. You have to understand more. And then you can. Because remember, they are not necessarily always real Dharma. Instead, God, tools to God for you to into the Dharma. Let's say, if there is instructions for map or for machines, how to put together all the parts, many different people can read them together. But some people know very well how to do it after you read it. But some people know a little bit, and some people maybe have no idea. You just read it, but you don't know how to do it. So similar way, you have a Dharma practice book, and you every day read that. It doesn't mean you're doing so well. Also, different people doing that, doing the same thing doesn't mean you're doing very well at same degree. Even you spend the time, same time, even you reading the same book, prayer book, it doesn't mean you're doing the same degree. You are achieving the same degree. No. So this all shows not necessarily real Dharma. It's God for Dharma. God you into Dharma. But even the God Dharma, it doesn't mean everybody God in same degree. Doing very well same degree. No. But at the same time, we have to avoid two extremes or three extremes. Some people are lazy. They don't want to read the prayer book. They don't want to read instruction. They say, oh, Dharma is in my heart. I integrate everything in my life in Dharma. But if you ask them questions, the answer is always wrong. Or the answer is always tricky. The answer is always unstable. The answer is scattered everywhere. And then your behavior is worse than who claims no practice Dharma. For those people, not reading prayer books, not listening instructions, not good. That kind of people really need you read prayer book. You really need to read instructions, and you really need to reflect on them. So let's say, if you are isolated by yourself, absolutely necessary machine you have to use, either air condition or heater or gas cooker. The instructions there, but you don't want to read, and nobody can help you because you are by yourself. It's not so good. You must read the instructions very carefully again and again, and you have to try every possibility how to use this machine. Similar way, if you don't really know how to practice Dharma without all these prayers and instructions, you must read and you must practice with prayer book and everything. Okay? So many people pretending they know Dharma very well without these readings and everything. That's no good. That's one extreme. So we should not go that extreme. Because if you go that extreme, you're going to fail. However, many people go that extreme, thinking Dharma practice is only reading prayer, reading sadhana, doing our prostrations, and try to compete how many numbers between each other. And focus and attention on that. That means, I'm not saying that zero benefit. This is, maybe there is some benefit, but definitely not huge benefit. Why? Because it's nothing wrong with this Dharma text. It's nothing wrong with this Dharma prayer. It's nothing wrong with these instructions, but your attention is wrong. Your focus is wrong. That's one thing. Why is the focus wrong? Because your focus is not the quality. Your focus on a quantity. Your focus on the God, not what you learn from the guide. If we go in somewhere in the forest or very complicated place with God, you should focus the God, his body and his clothes and his personality, or we should focus what he say, what we learn from him or her. So that kind of. The same thing when we practice a prayer book or whatever. we should learn what is the meaning, what the prayer book try to say. This prayer book is try to expand in our intention and motivation, yes or no? And this try to expand in our kindness, love, and nature, or not? Are these prayer books is expanding our patience, generous, many things, or not? We should have attention on that. What this prayer try to do. Also, you choosing the prayers sometimes. Some prayers just sounds like selfish, like, oh, do this for me, protect for me, and me, everything. That kind of prayer book, you can read sometimes, but maybe you should not have daily practice of that prayer. If somebody very intelligent, maybe you can even say me, you can intention differently. Me is only temporarily. My survival, my success to benefit other people. If you can use that way, then you can read that prayer all the time, but otherwise, you better to read other prayers. So what I'm trying to say in here, all the prayers and practices, texts and instructions is never is anything bad or at all. They're all really good. But what I'm saying is they are gods, not the real Dharma is up to you through this God. So that we need to know. If we know this very well, then you are ready to practice without these gods. So that means when you going to complicate places, with God, you didn't pay attention too much to the God's personality and he's handsome or not, you didn't pay attention for that. Instead, you pay attention what he said, what he did do. So the next time, without this guide, you can go by yourself. So that means you know how to practice without the question, sitting in the question. You know how to practice without this prayer book. So means that. But where did you learn? Still from the book, from the instructions. But if your attention didn't focus the primary importance in the text, and you are lost inside the details, you are lost on the secondary qualities, aspects, then you never know how to practice without these gods. That means even you practice with the gods, you're not doing very well, but you're doing okay, maybe nothing. But if your attention is the primary importance, if you pay your attention, you prioritize very well with these gods, then you can practice anytime. I'm not saying anybody can practice anytime without any gods. That's what I'm saying. From the beginning, I said it's not anybody's in any time. That's why you need to study. You need to listen instructions. You need prayer book, yes. But you not just keep this book all the time. Instead, you always should exercise how to I practice without this book. When you have the book with you, that time you should exercise. But if you didn't, then one day you don't have even the book, then you completely lost. Okay, now you can think in, oh, how I practice without this sitting in the question. How can I practice with this prayer book without? When you read in the book, when you read in the prayer books, you just have to know, you have to pay attention, what is this essence? What this prayer saying, this essence? What number one important in this book? What the most essence? That you should know first. You should try that know first. And then you should know the around of the essence. How to get this essence through what conditions, through what aspect. Thinking like that way. Pay attention like this way. Then you will get it. But you just say, of course, the worst ones, what they're saying, they just saying the words, but the mind is somewhere else. But not too bad ones. They pay attention, thinking the meaning of what you're saying. But you're not overviewing. You're not overviewing what is you really saying. You don't know how to take the essence of what you're saying. Individually, you know what you're saying, the all words. So that. So I just same as you, we all, not me, but everybody study from the kindergarten to university, PhD, you study 20 years, study. You cannot use every single thing every time, all the time in your life. But you should know, learn all this from all this learn, what is I can use in my life? Similar way, when you read in instructions and everything, you have to know that, the essence, and how to use it, and when is the best time, when it is necessary. Another example I give you, let's say everybody knows a car, how to drive a car. So what is the difference is if you know just simply how to drive, but you don't know road rules at all, zero knowing the road rules, only know how to drive, or you knowing all road rules and drive. And not only that, but you know why these engines works, how they works. These three difference. Very different. The first one is very limited. Maybe not so many in the West, but so many in here. Many people here, many years, they don't know what is the role at all, only how to drive and no drive license. And now everybody get in trouble. They need to study like a few months full time and have to pay thousands. They're doing this now. If they did in the past, much easier, but they didn't. Only few people did. The second one, you know the road rules and how to drive, but if your car, something happens, you have no idea. If somewhere in the middle of the nowhere, if something happened, what do you do? But if someone knows what is wrong, what is the problem, how to fix, even you don't know major problems how to fix, but the some minor problems how to fix, incredibly useful when you are left on middle of nowhere. Similar way, when you are going complicated places with a guide, some people didn't listen at all, just follow body. And some people listen very well and pay attention. If you lost the guard or you lost the team or whatever, you have to go by yourself one day. Very big differences. Last time you went together, but now it's very different. Same thing. When you sit in the caution and read in the Dharma book, everything is all right situation, you think you are incredible good practitioner. You think, oh, I can liberate all sentient beings. I can have patience. I can, forgive any other sentient beings, bad treatment, unfairness, betrayed, whatever. I never angry, I never disappoint. You think. Because you are not in the reality. Now you are with just God. When you are with God and complicated, you think, oh, easy, easy. Because you are with God. God. Same thing. If you know very well with the book, and then you will quite well, you know quite well how to practice Dharma without book. But you never start with the book, and then you say, I know very well without book. That question mark. Because all the prayer books, practice books, what they try to integrate you is better state of the mind of you. What are you trying to do? Make very distractions. What are you trying to do? So if you pay attention when you practice book, either this book try to intention your motivation and more loving way, kind way, or expanding your vision, expanding your intention, making how to say, broad view, not stuck in a narrow view. Not unflexible, quality, instead flexible and useful in that way. You are guarding this practice book. Or another way we can say 10 virtues way you are guarding, or you are guiding 6 perfections way, you are guiding an 8-fold path of dharmas. Or if the Vajrayana practice, then more you are guiding in bodhicitta way, relative bodhicitta, ultimate bodhicitta, even as the physical bodhicitta, all of them you are trying to guard in there. You are guarding their pure perception, better attitude, better mental state. All of them guarding like that way. Doesn't matter. Any book, prayer books, practice books, instructions, meditation instructions, everything. So when you know this very well, you did many times with prayer book, with instruction. And you paid attention, the primary, and you did summarize very well. You did overview very well. Then, when you have no book, when you have no question, or you have no time to sit in the question, When you have no time to read a book, read and pray book, at that time, you still know the essence of the book. Maybe you don't know all details yet, but you know this overview, you know this essence. So you can remind, you can direct your mind in that state, in that quality. So like that. So that is how to practice without a question, how to practice without a prayer book, without sitting down. Of course, maybe not as easier as sitting down in a quiet place, nobody disturb you. It doesn't mean you can do it same degree, exactly same degree, not necessarily. But you can do it definitely some degree if you use it very well last time when you practice in Dharma with God. That time, if you pay attention not wrong way and the right way, pay attention the primary important, not the secondary. If you did this, I want to explain a little bit what do you mean pay attention secondary important, which means you are absolutely fixed with the number, or 100,000 this, 100,000 this, or somebody did this, I have to do this, my Dharma group doing this, I have to do this, my Lama said this, I have to do this, my tradition said this, and I have to do this, my Sangha said this, and I have to do this, that kind of. Why I say this is secondary important attention. I'm not saying zero important attention, but definitely is secondary important attention. Why secondary? Because you not focusing the primary important, then is important. The primary important is what does make you different when you doing 100,000 per station, or let's say 100 per station every day, on 0 per station. What does make difference? If there is something make you differences, if there is something transforming you are different, that is the primary important. That is the you should pay attention most. Not a number. You don't have to count. You can count, but you don't have to. You can do 100,000, or you can do even more, but you don't have to. As long as you get the essence. So that means, let's say, if I do every day, what me transforms is more healthy, better sleep, and my friend thinks I'm good. If it's only that reason, then becomes a secondary. Okay? Not only that prostration is secondary, but also the result is secondary. But let's say, if if I do prostration every day, it's not only just I'm going to become healthier and my friends think I'm good, my Lama think I'm good. Not only that, but makes my mind very different. Very different means more happier and more positive and more virtuous. If does that, then not anything else doesn't do that, then you must prostration every day. But, oh yes, 100 prostration every day also do that, but instead if I think in Dharma a half an hour, or read in Dharma half an hour, also the same benefits, or sometimes even bigger. Still I have to do prostration every day. Do I have to finish the 100,000? The answer is not necessarily. Depend on what benefits, which one benefit more. The study or the practice or the meditation or the doing 100,000 from body. Which one you can prioritize the judge and the result, the judge and benefits, the obvious level, not the subtle level. Or thinking, oh, if I study, practice every day, or even I walk in every day thinking Dharma, it seems more benefit for me, but my mind, but my Lama said I have to do 100,000, so I have no time for this. That means wrong. You lost again because you took what Lama said literally. What the book said, you took literally. You didn't thought, or Lama said, this is the benefit of that kind of, improving my understanding Dharma. If prostration improving your understanding Dharma more, or you're transforming your mind more, then yes. But if less, if you can do something more better one, then you think I have to do this, these numbers, 100,000, so I cannot do the other one because the Lama said, because of the book said, it's course you take literally, very unflexible way. Then how you should confirm with Lama? You ask a Lama, would you like I finish everything 100,000 prostrations or even a double or triple? And then I'm nothing changes in the future? Are you prefer that, or I do other things, something else's, but then I improve, become a better person, better understand Dharma within the 5 years or 2 years or whatever? Which one you prefer? Ask a Lama. If Lama say, oh, I prefer you do all these numbers. You don't need to become change anything. You don't need to transform anything. You just do this all, and then you are, when you die, you okay. You they go Pure Land. If Lama said that, then I don't know. You want to listen Lama or not, up to you. I can't advise. But I think that question is really important. Your Lama. Or you can find in the book, is anybody said that? But books sometimes maybe said those. Or if you do this mantra or one time, and then, or 100 times, then all your negative karma wash away. That kind of. These things we call provisional teaching. Means you cannot take everything literally. There is a benefit saying these things, but the benefit is not exactly what you hear. The benefit is not exactly what literally say. Okay, so that's what you have to understand. Okay, in that case, I'm saying you focus on primary important. When you read in the books, when you practice in Dharma, with God book, with instruction, or with Lama, or with Sangha, or with senior practitioners, with anybody, that time is opportunity. You collecting, accumulating the essence. And then when by yourself, you don't have any of the other conditions, that time is time to use the essence. So that means without question, without time, sitting down, with your Lama, with your Sangha, with a good model, with a good God. Without that time, you use the essence. How do I use the essence? When you have special challenges, somebody criticizes you, so you not upset the criticism. Instead, looked why I'm upset. You look at why you're upset rather than not pay attention to upsetting. And you allow yourself upsetting. You think, oh, of course I'm upset because criticism me. Don't think that way. That is old way. Instead, why I'm upsetting? Check. Oh, because I'm criticism. That's not good enough. Okay, if it criticizes you, what is the problem? What is taken from you? Something you possessed are taken away, or this criticism make you huge disadvantage bring to you? Oh yes, of course. If this person's criticism, then other people think of me very bad. No. Somebody criticizing you is not everybody immediately think you are so bad. But how you react is then maybe people make a judgment. That's one thing. The second thing, even other people think you are bad. Are you have to rely on that? or you should have a little freedom. You should take your own freedom a little bit. That means, are you really should depend on other people what think of you 100%, or you should have some independent direction for yourself. If you have a big problem, is everybody fixing you? Can you depend on other people, with other people? The answer is no. So that means most of the time we upset for no reason, no good reason. Okay? So if you know these things, that means you really taken the essence of the Dharma, the essence of the practice book, the essence of your meditation on the question. The same thing is not other people, but the situations you appears you are the most unlucky and unfortunate circumstances. We have to understand this is temporary. Your unfortunate and other people's unfortunate only difference is today and tomorrow. Even your fortunate circumstances only, or unfortunate circumstances only different today and tomorrow. So should we absolutely upset today, or we just should wait for tomorrow? Also, should we remind, or what we did on the question and study everything is something we not did something big resources from external resources like how to study, study how to make money, like how to economic. We didn't do that. The all Dharma practices, all prayer books, everything is how to we use our inner resources. So you did this many, many times, and then when you have opportunity time to use these inner resources, then we forget. Okay? So that means why we forget? Because when you have a God book, you didn't pay attention enough. You didn't overview enough. And you didn't exercise without that. When you have the book, when you have the conditions with you, you didn't exercise. When we listen in Dharma, we think, oh, we understand everything, oh, boring, because we understand. Everybody say these things, oh, boring. That means you didn't really pay attention. Okay, then you say it, okay, now, okay, in that case, okay, you say it, you teach now, and oh, no, I can't. If you think it's know very well and you think it's even boring, then why you can't tell? Why you say it? But even you say it, that doesn't mean you really practicing. Or some people say very well, and then situation comes, you're not doing it. The other people think, oh, why you don't do this? or matters of exercise, or matters of the attention on the primary or secondary. Remember secondary, the quantity, the literal, and other people will think of you, what other people think, what other people say, what other people give a value. All these things secondary. You always lost on that. That's why you don't know how to practice when you really need. Does that make sense? What time is it? Past one gone? 1 hour? 1 hour. 1 hour gone?
Yes, 1 hour's gone.
Okay. Then I stop here so you can have questions. So then maybe hopefully more clear and questions.
Okay, if you have some questions for Rinpoche, you can type them in the chat over on the side. If you're on Zoom, if you're on Facebook, you can type your comments in the comments section and we'll ask them on your behalf. Okay. The first question is, if I develop to become a good observer through using mindfulness, does this help to put theory in practice?
If you know the theory, on the top of this, you know how to be mindful, then yes. But if you don't know the theory, nothing at all, you just know how to be mindful, it still is helpful, but don't know very well.
The next question is, how best to remember the teachings when studying? So I think this one also comes, the other question is, when you were talking about the book, are we supposed to be trying to like memorize what's in it and then do that? Or what, can you talk a little bit more about that as well? So how best to remember the teachings when studying?
Memorize, yes, memorize, but even you memorize different ways, have a different result. When you memorize, some people only memorize, again, they pay attention to the secondary. You just try to memorize all the words and everything, and you pay a very little attention to what is really meaning and what is the benefit to me particularly. If you forget that, then your memorize also a small benefit. But you memorize the summary, I said, the summary, the essence. Or another way is, as much, which part ever makes sense to you and which part more makes sense for you, which part more practical for you, which part is more manageable for you. And if you memorize this kind of essence, is more benefits. But that means you memorize good, but you memorize words or you memorize really the meaning. You memorizing is just teachings, or you memorizing something that you know how to do it with this memorizing. That makes very difference.
Does anyone else have any questions? If the aim of Dharma practice is to transform myself, how can I transform the habits?
Transforming yourself means you transforming the habit. There is no transforming yourself without transforming your habit, bad habit. basically. Right? So you don't have to transform all your habits, but you have to know which habit is the worst and not needed. And that one you try to more pay attention and more overcome, more transform. And which part of the habit is really you lack of. You can try to, but very useful. So you can try that more. When we say transforming habit, is one level of transforming. We have many layers. We have to think we are like onion. We have many, many layers. But all the habit is also like layers. Some habit is very easy to transform because it's only layers on the surface. But some habit is very deep layer, many layers. So it takes a long time to transform.
The next question is from Facebook. Dear Rinpoche, true in the teaching, it can seem one understands, but later when one's alone, it's hard to implement. How do I overcome this? So it's like when I'm listening to you teach, I can understand it, but then when I'm alone, I don't know how to implement it. Even now, your words seem true when I listen, but implementing them, it seems I didn't really get the point.
So for Dharma practitioner, what you have to do is three things. One is hearing, and one is reflecting, or familiarizing, and then meditating on, which means hearing means you can hear from voice, but also you can hear from text, okay? Or you can hear from experience, and then reflecting or familiarization is you not just leave what you hear. You go overview again and again. And meditating means, it doesn't mean you sit in the question and the common understanding mindfulness or a single point meditation doesn't mean that. Meaning is you already hear, you already reflect many times and familiar, the subject is very familiar, and then you practice it, you exercise. That is meditation. So all of them is taken over by your samsaric action, samsaric normal activities taken over in 24 hours. You don't have time to do these things. You not make time for this, basically. You can't say you don't have time. You decide you don't make time for this. Instead, the other usual habit take over your time, everything. Then, of course, impotent, very difficult to implement because you have not enough hearing, not enough familiarization, not enough practicing. Then often people think, oh, what is the most easy way? What is the most shortcut way? There is no shortcut. There is no easy way, basically, in that case. So you just have to accept how much I did, pay attention, that much result I should have. That much capacity I will develop. So you have to understand this way. If you incredibly down in the past and this time is so easy for you, then you are incredible. Otherwise, you have to build on this life. You have to start from this life. But sounds like hard work, but it's actually hard. Practice Dharma means is not hard work. The practice Dharma means you learn how to make easy life.
So the next question.
Okay.
Which is the most important habit to achieve by Dharma practice, generally speaking, for Western practitioners?
Not always followed the old habit and always reflecting and how to say experimenting. Before I say, usually people are very easy to angry or very easy to upset because you said this, because you didn't respect me. Huh? The common people upset is, oh, he didn't respect me. She didn't respect me. He didn't care my feeling. She didn't care my feeling. That's normal and very acceptable. So this time, if you are a Dharma practitioner, then you should challenge it on this for you. Why my feeling is most important? Why the usual way of my feel, how I feel is important? Why I can't change that? Why I can't transform that? Is that only way, or is there another way? I think challenging everything, our usual expectations, we should challenge oneself. That's probably the start, how to go.
Okay, the next question is, could you explain how we can identify arrogance in ourselves? Could you explain how we can identify arrogance in ourselves?
Arrogance.
Yes.
Arrogance is, what I personally is arrogance, pride, confidence, they are same family. Okay, the same family, but the only difference is different degree and along with other qualities. So do we need pride? Yes, we need pride. Do we need confidence? Absolutely, the most important we need. But if we have too much confidence, overconfidence is good? No. Why no good? Because overconfidence means arrogant. So over means over than your reality, over than your capacity. So anything you have a pride over than yourself, that is arrogant. So that is not useful. Having this and acting according to that is no good result, not good consequence. But if our capacity and the pride is balanced, then is absolutely necessary, the pride. So we have to think that way. We have to understand this way. Okay?
Okay. Rinpoche, the next question we're going to have from the Chinese students. Lei?
Okay. Hello, Rinpoche. The questions is like that. In the Buddha stories, have the story about 84 great achievers. Basically, on them story, that achievers just do the simple observation and practice, but they will accomplished in 6 or 12 years. So in the meantime, the practice may not seem to make any progress. So sometimes the boring presences is very important, right?
I don't really understand. What is the essence? What is the essence?
Is it important to do boring practices for a long time?
Huh?
Sometimes you practice for years and years, see no progress. So is it sometimes important to do a practice you find boring for a long time to see a result?
他说是这样的，就是说印度的84大成就者 84， 他们都是就是almost 就是读 very simple practice， then they achieve enlightenment only maybe 6 years or 12 years like that. So if that means if we keep very simple appreciation, prayer, all these things is now is very important. That means
Okay. So the 84 means 84 the arahats, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
84 arahats. They did simple practices that, but they achieve enlightenment very quickly.
Yes.
How come, right? Huh?
Yes.
So in my understanding,
yeah. So if we now did a very simple way, you know.
Yes. In my understanding, they're not just practicing under what the simple things we see and the history say, okay? But that is maybe showing us a model to example, even those things we have to. But maybe they're doing more than that, Okay. Not only that. That's I understand. So that means if we do only simple things, prostration or something, we don't do anything else, and we never check, am I transforming? Am I changing any progress? Because you know yourself, nobody judge. You yourself can judge easily. Without any judging yourself, without any checking yourself, you just believe if I do this, then one day I become arhat. That will not be according to your expectation, but is not useless, still have result, still have benefits of Dharma merits. Yes, because you believe in that. That's why you have something, but not necessarily expect according to your expectation. Okay?
Okay.
Any other question?
This is Chinese man ask.
Okay. Yeah.
Mr. Zhu asked.
Okay.
Okay,
finished.
Okay.
Do you have?
Yeah, there is. We'll do a last question and then the prayers. Does intensive and passionate debate within the Dzokden Sangha, can that help us clarify difficult Dharma questions?
Of course. If you are intense then it must be have some result. But I cannot judge it because you can experience when you're doing it.
Okay.